In today's episode, the Mercedes-Benz 190 190E. Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. The channel that brings you car brochures from around the world for the 1960s, 70s, 80s and 90s. So if you're interested in cars, car brochures, looking back at cars gone by, really all about bringing back those memories more than anything, then please do consider subscribing to this very niche channel. Very much appreciated, and you be part of a growing, very friendly community actually. Anyway, today's episode, the Mercedes 190. So let's just spin that camera around. And here is today's brochure, quite simply saying Mercedes-Benz, showing the 190 and the 190E at the bottom there. The new 190, 190E Mercedes engineering in its latest, most compact form. And of course, Mercedes did in fact eventually start producing even smaller cars than this. But certainly when this came out, it was always, I know some people, even myself, I must admit, said, is this a real Mercedes? It's so small compared to what we were used to with Mercedes-Benz. But now looking back, I actually really like these, and in many ways you could also argue these were kind of like coming to the end of proper Mercedes-Benz quality at a time where Mercedes were still very much a high quality item, really built to last. Really, you know, the days before sort of like the administration came in, the accountants came in and started penny pinching Mercedes, and then they changed forever. So yeah, I do really like these, and you kind of like always think with these silver ones and these blue interiors that this model on the front cover is showing. It's certainly very, very memorable. Also, what we'll be looking at today, regulars will know that occasionally we do bring out this magazine as well. It's a Which magazine, key facts about 120 popular cars, car buying guide 1989. So it shows the 1989 models and also earlier models as kind of like used vehicles. So we use this brochure, kind of get to a bit of an insight of how we looked at the cars at the time. So if there's a relevant car, we bring this out. The 190 is in this magazine, so we'll see how this magazine reviews them. I always found Which very, very harsh, particularly with the lower quality models. But let's see how it, looks at it at a more sort of higher quality, more executive car. Anyway, we'll come back to that Which magazine at the end once we've reviewed this brochure. Now, one thing about this brochure is it's extremely wordy actually, so we certainly will not be reading this one for word because it'll probably take, well, 40 minutes, and I think it's a little bit too long. I know some people do like reviewing every single word in a car brochure, but I have to kind of like balance it to what the majority of people like. Anyway, let's open the brochure up and have a look inside. So first of all, this one opens up quite regularly, like a regular brochure you do think, but then it does lift up from the bottom and fold a different way. So it is a little bit unusual in that way. This particular page is talking about the new models, radically new, yet typically Mercedes, because Mercedes was really testing this out as a smaller car at the time, so they didn't really 100% know how this sort of idea of an executive car that was a little bit smaller would be received, of course. We'll read some of this text. Like I said, we're not going to read everything, but we will see some of this text and we'll come back to these images. So it starts by telling us these are the first cars to offer the practicality and quality of Mercedes in compact form, without compromise, without sacrifice. They are for drivers who know exactly what they want, drivers who demand performance, manoeuvrability and the latest in automotive engineering, yet in a compact shape and without ostentation. In the past, drivers such as these often had to make do with a compromise because compact has usually meant not only a smaller car, but also less comfort, less safety, less reliability, and faster depreciation, because until now, Mercedes-Benz have not produced a compact car. The new Mercedes integrates three aspects of engineering that are particularly relevant in today's motoring conditions: lively performance and low fuel consumption because of the aerodynamic shape with drag coefficient of only 0.33, the robust lightweight design, and the modern four-cylinder engines. The appeal of the new models comes equally from their powerful engines and from their unique styling, which is a visual expression of high quality engineering. Exemplary standards of comfort and safety, a new design approach has given the front section of the bodywork the sort of crash behaviour never seen in a production car before. Predetermined deformation provides better protection for driver and passengers. The new Mercedes-Benz models are the first compact cars to have the ABS and airbag with belt tensioner as optional extras. Typical Mercedes reliability, unique among compact cars. The one thing I always remember about these is Mercedes, get a base Mercedes, they really were stripped out basic cars actually. But even these new so-called compact Mercedes, they were still very, very expensive for what they were. It goes on to tell us typical Mercedes reliability among compact cars. In addition to these specific advantages, the new models have all the classic virtues which are part of every Mercedes. The attention to detail in every aspect, in development, design, production and service. This is what makes the new models a positive contribution to the future of motoring. And then we get a few images going by what we've just read really, great crash protection for the time. I guess this is where it's been designed. And then this little bit of an image, presumably, showing you or demonstrating in pictorial form that it's got a good drag coefficient. And then from there you can see how it starts opening quite unusually. So I've opened that from the bottom upwards. First showing sort of interiors, and then we've got this lovely image of this 190e from the rear. We'll start up the top though. I'll refold this down a bit so we can see it. I will read some of the text. I'm not going to read it all, but we'll certainly go around the images as well. Okay, so I've dropped that down a little bit so we can get to the text. Lovely interior we'll come back to in a moment. Let's just read some of the text though. It kind of starts as it left off, really going on about the size, because that's the real change here for Mercedes. So it says, compact size and comfort are no longer a contradiction in terms. The wheelbase, which for a compact car is unusually long, makes a decisive contribution to the size of the interior. The result is plenty of room for driver and passengers, following the high standards set by the larger Mercedes saloons. I think I would disagree a bit on this one. Is if you've ever been in the back of a 190, they are actually quite cramped in terms of leg room. It goes on to tell us comfort as soon as you get in through the four wide opening doors. You no longer have to go through all the trouble associated with two-door compact cars. No tiresome folding forward of the front seat backs, no difficult climbing into the rear. Bit of a weird thing. I don't think we would really expect this to be a two-door car at this size, would we? Not in Europe at least. The lower door seals have been designed to keep the seals clean. The seats have shaped wire springing. They are firm enough to give support and to keep the occupants fit and alert. And they are comfortable to ward off fatigue on long journeys. The seats are covered throughout with breathing fabric material with 45% wool content. The front seats are positioned to give almost as much room as in the larger Mercedes saloons. This means, among other things, plenty of legroom and a support for the driver's left foot, a typical Mercedes feature. Then it goes on about, the ergonomic design of the dashboard, which we'll certainly have a look at in a moment. Goes on about the heating system, which allows temperatures to be adjusted separately from left and right hand side of the interior. Noise levels being fabulous and all that. But yeah, it's trying to say, isn't it, that it's a compact car and it's also a quiet car, but it's also Mercedes standards of quality, which in some ways is strange because that Mercedes quality standard actually dropped off after this model, didn't it? Anyway, let's have a look at the interior. So I must admit, I do like the interiors on this model. All very good fit and finish. You don't get rattles, etc. in the proper Mercedes quality. Big Mercedes steering wheel. And like I say, if you got a base model, you really did get a base model. They was never excited about giving you lots of equipment, but what they give you was quality at this time. We then get this lovely image of the engine, where it just quite simply says the modern 4-cylinder cross-floor engine, powerful, refined and economical. Then a look at the interior. I do like the seats actually. I like the colours of the seats that they actually put in Mercedes at this time. All the door cards matching these lovely continental door armrests. I do like how it's all styled, and I like the black touches alongside these colours as well. Lots of room and lots of headroom actually for the front seat passengers. Rear seat passengers, I think the legroom was a little bit restricted, but I guess that's what you get by getting a smaller Mercedes. Going to the lower half of that page, we get a nice image of the rear. This is a 190E. Let's read some of the text. Like I said, I'm not going to read it all, it is a bit wordy, and then we'll come back to the images. Performance and engineering to Mercedes standards, and a completely new suspension system. Those who appreciate motoring in the fullest sense of the word will find the new models a unique proposition. Their lively performance inspires an enthusiasm for driving and conscious enjoyment of the journey itself. And then it gets a little bit, well, it's got a little bit more Brochure-esque in its words, where it's just a little bit of nonsense, really. The experience of driving such a car is difficult to describe, that there is a degree of pleasure and positive relaxation that are unmistakable. Okay, so then it goes on about the two new models. The 190, 190E are both fitted with modern cross-floor engines. These 4-cylinder units are powerful, refined and economical. The Mercedes 190 is fitted with a 90 din horsepower engine and reaches a top speed of 175 kilometers an hour, 108.7 miles per hour. The fuel-injected engine of the 190E, with an output of 122 din horsepower, accelerates the car from 0 to 100 in 10.5 seconds, top speed a respectable 121 miles per hour. The fuel-air mixture is produced by a completely new fuel injection system. It is the first to combine the reliability of a mechanical system with the advantages of electronics. Interesting. By developing the revolutionary multi-link independent rear suspension and the new coil spring shock absorber front suspension, it has been possible to incorporate the ride characteristics of the larger Mercedes saloon. So really, it's once again going about, yeah, it's a smaller car, but it's still, meeting Mercedes quality and ride expectations, where, somebody who's been buying Mercedes for years possibly could jump in one of these. Other bits of information on here, it says the small turning circle, 10.6 meters, gives high maneuverability, especially for parking, and it tells us the disc brakes on all four wheels provide a degree of braking safety and ease, which is unusual in compact cars. Once again, going back to, it's a compact car, but it's a Mercedes ultimately. The rest of the text there is whittering on about how fantastic the car is. So a little bit of an image to start with, the suspension setup. An image of the disc brakes, which it tells us are on all four wheels. And then we get a little bit of an image of the rear, the 190E, the faster of the two models actually, and so these black bumpers, which are a little bit unusual. Still throwing wheel trims on there though, aren't we? But you're still going to feel a little bit special in this car, aren't you? Driving it, looking down the bonnet and seeing that three-pointed star. And then we flip the brochure around, and the advantage of it folding out in an unusual way is we get this really huge images, poster style size image of this 190 in rather a lovely flat red colour, which I quite like actually. Well, a couple of things I found unusual actually. Black bumpers seemed a little bit dated. Love the big Mercedes grille on there, of course. The other thing I found a little bit unusual was, notice the passenger door there. No passenger door mirror. How budget orientated is that? I don't think I've ever seen a 190 with no passenger door mirror on there. That seems a real poverty spec model. Or am I missing something? Were there a few that didn't have that? But let me know if that was very common to see, or maybe this is just the early ones. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, a wonderful car. I've just tried to pull the camera back just to give you an idea of how big this image is. It's really hard to show you what a huge picture this is, but it's certainly just hanging off my board at all sides. But yeah, nice to see that, and you can see why they decided to do the brochure in this manner. There is one little flap left. If we fold the brochure all the way back once again and we go to the very back page, the technical data. So let's have a look at the technical data, and then we'll move on to that which magazine. Let's see what they said about the 190. So it begins by looking at the 190, then later on we'll look at the 190E as well. So number of cylinders 4, and it's actually a 1997cc engine. Engine output 90 horsepower, 5,000 min. I guess that means revs per minute. Maximum torque, what we got here, 165 newton meters at 2,500 revs per minute. Unusually how that's laid out. What else have we got on there? Battery 12 volt, top speed 175 kilometers an hour. Also shows the tyres have been a 175 by 70R 14. Fuel premium, and of course this is just showing a 190 or 190E. There were diesels, very economical and long-lasting diesels, and there was also the 2.5, a little bit of an unusual version as well. It's telling us we've only got a 4-speed manual gearbox, which is a little bit antiquated. I see that as a bit of a slip up really. Oh, it's showing a 4-speed or a 5-speed. It must be an optional 5-speed you could get. So that's unusual. I think the automatic, if you get a Mercedes, I think the automatic gearbox was the one to go for. I think they made better autos than manuals, which could be a little bit notchy in my humble opinion. And then there's a few more sort of like figures on there as well, looking at fuel economy figures there on there as well. It also shows the dimensions and sort of like, the dimension sort of images which you get in brochures, but I always find these a little bit hard really to show you on camera. Let's move to the 190E. So the 190E is again a 4-cylinder 1997cc engine. Engine output 122 horsepower at 5,100 revs per minute. Maximum torque 178 newton meters at 3,500 revs per minute. And then it goes down there, shows the top speed now is 195 kilometers an hour. So same size tyres to the 190E, surprisingly. However, the last two numbers, the 190 was 82S at the end. This one's 82H. Not sure what that number difference is referring to. Maybe a higher speed, I would imagine. Fuel again is premium, and we can get a 4-speed manual, a 5-speed manual, and the automatic on this 190E as well. And then we've got the tank capacities, curve weights, etc. And that kind of like brings us to the end of this. So yeah, let's have a look at the Which magazine, see how it, well, let's see how the motoring press actually looked at the Mercedes-Benz 190. Obviously today we look at it differently than what we did at the time. So here it is, the Mercedes-Benz 190, interestingly next to a Mazda 626. Yeah, so Mercedes-Benz 190 tells us excellent in most respects, though surprisingly little room in back of pre-1989 models. Expensive, but holds value very well. And actually that's, for a Which magazine, that's actually a really good heading. Most, they can be really, really harsh. I always found Which magazine with their cars, they revealed, but like I say, no surprise, little room in the back. I think that's not surprising. And, a reminder that these Mercedes at this time really had very low depreciation. It follows that up by telling us the acceleration, the 190E, very lively, the diesel fair, engines very smooth, petrol willing, diesel inflexible, gears good, very relaxing, high-speed cruising, steering, power assisted, very light, precise, direct with good feel, handling, extremely good, grip, very good, but care needed in wet, very stable, brakes with optional anti-locking braking system, very good, driving position, seat good, driving position good, but seat might not go forward enough for short drivers, controls, displays, mostly good, visibility, rearward problems for short drivers, wiper pattern, poor for tall drivers, now modified. Hubnut would not be very happy with that. Poor visors, firm, well-shaped seats, too firm for some. Head and legroom limited in back. Ride, firm, smooth, absorbent, a little snatch. Quiet, heating and ventilation excellent. Report 190, 2.0 diesel in September 85 and the 190E March 1985. Then gives us some car facts. So servicing every 6,000 miles, DIY straightforward, which is interesting on this car. And then the 190E doing 30 mpg, the 190 diesel doing 44 mpg. Insurance is 7 for the petrol, 5 for the diesel. Tells us a weekly cost of £38 per week for the petrol, £29 a week for the diesel. Depreciation very low, and it shows the top speeds as they differ slightly from the brochure, telling us top speed of the petrol 190E is actually down at 119 and the diesel is 100 miles per hour. Showing the acceleration quite poor though. Acceleration 0 to 60, 18.2 seconds for the petrol, 21.6 for the diesel. I'm kind of like a little bit surprised by that. Reliability says too few members reporting. And then buying it new. And this is really a reminder that they were very expensive cars. They were very affordable, sort of like much older, but certainly the nearly new examples and the new examples were always way out of my league, I must admit. So a basic 190 is £14,200, an extra £880 for the automatic, and if you wanted ABS it was an extra £550. For the diesels, 2 litre diesel was £15,000, a 190D 2.5 diesel was £17,250. You still had to pay extra for the auto and surprisingly still extra for ABS. And then you got the unusual petrol engines, so the 190E 2.6 was £20,600. Still had to pay an extra $880 for the auto, but you did get ABS as standard. And then the most expensive was the very rare 190 2.5 16 valve, £29,900. Standard ABS, you wanted auto, an extra 880. Remember, this is 1989, so that was a very expensive car, certainly a very expensive compact car. And then prices used, really reflecting that they did hold the value very, very well, showing us a 1-year-old 190E was £15,300. They were only 16,350 brand new, dropping down to 1984 when they were £8,900. So yeah, a good car. As the write-up says, at least they were long lasting, they did hold the value very well, so you really had to wait quite some time before they became affordable for the rest of us, really. But nice to see a little bit of a review and see how they were received by the motoring press. So there we go, the Mercedes 190. Did you ever own one? Let me know how you got on. They certainly did last well, and I think that was all down to how well Mercedes built them at this time. So I don't think it's that unusual to see an old one still trundling around. But thank you so much for watching today. We'll end as we always do by saying, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. You won't be charged to be a subscriber. Very grateful if you do. And don't forget to like and hype this video. Very much appreciated. And if you know other people who might be interested in this channel, give them a little bit of a nod in this direction. It's always nice to have as many viewers and comments as possible, because our regulars are fantastic and the comments are always great to read, and everyone is always very friendly to each other, which of course is most important. But thank you so much for watching today. Please do come back again soon. I'll drop a couple of videos on this page just if you want to continue your viewing pleasure, but I'll sign out right now by saying thank you so much for watching. Please do take care. We'll see you again very soon. All the best and goodbye.